Hello, welcome to the Union Pacific Railroad Geneva Subdivision. My name is Daryl Cruz, owner and builder of the layout, and your host for episode 13 of season 2020. This is another operations video. This time it's on the BNSF switcher in Rochelle, and especially the local operations of handling and distributing and picking up cars amongst the industries in Rochelle. This is the BNSF switcher that we are looking at, and we are in the Interchange Yard. This is co-owned by both the Union Pacific and the BNSF. If the switcher would continue in the direction it's going right now, it would eventually go onto the Union Pacific main line. So that is where it connects to the Union Pacific. In just a bit, we'll see where it connects to the BNSF. There's a very small yard that you're looking at. There are 3 tracks. 2 of the tracks are basically arrival and departure tracks, but instead of arrival and departure of trains, it's arrival and departure of sets of cars. So one track will have cars that are ready to go on to a train to depart from Rochelle to whatever industries or the destination it might have. And then the other track is for cars to be set from a train onto the interchange track for distribution in Rochelle. So the first two tracks are for arriving and departing cars. And as you can see, there's turnouts on both sides, so you can do a runaround so that the locomotive can switch them from both directions. And then the third track there is just a storage track for cars that are either empty and ready to be picked up, or they may be full, already loaded up at a local industries and ready to go out to a train, but it's not going out today. So it's just there for storage of cars. All right, the 2 cars that are being pushed right now were set out by a westbound Union Pacific train, and the BNSF switcher is now going to distribute them to a warehouse and a oil loading facility. Now right now it's still on the interchange track, but the boxcar you can see is just now going from the interchange track to the BNSF main line. So the BNSF switcher is pushing the cars on the BNSF main line to industries in Rochelle. The reefer, the brown reefer with a white top, is going to Total Logistics Control, and the tank car is going to BP Oil. This is an area that I just most recently worked on, the railroad park, in the last couple weeks, and then most recently the power plant area that you're looking at now. The BNSF main line is on the layout mainly to facilitate operations of industries in Rochelle. It's not a through main line on the layout. It does not loop around. So there isn't any way for me to run actual BNSF mainline trains on the main line, but it still is used for local operations. So the brown reefer is going to be dropped off here at Total Logistics Control, which is the white building. Right now, Total Logistics Control is a little overloaded with cars, so a couple of them have already been loaded up, and so we're going to go ahead and take those back to the yard and put them in the storage track. And then we'll go ahead and put the brown reefer in the Total Logistics Control. Total Logistics Control can load and unload 4 reefer cars at a time, 2 inside the warehouse and then 2 outside the warehouse. In order for me to set the brown reefer inside the warehouse, we're just going to set these 2 here on the other track, and then we'll be able to put the brown reefer into the Total Logistics Control building. While we're conducting these operations, I do have a couple of double stack trains running in opposite directions, so we'll see them go through a couple times. We have an eastbound and a westbound heading through. Once we get the brown reefer and the tank car set at the industries, Total Logistics Control and BP Oil, we have some cars to gather up from industries to set on the Interchange Yard to be picked up by a eastbound Union Pacific mainline train. So the reefer is set in place, and we'll go ahead and pick up the 2 that are already completed and ready to go into the storage track. The area you're looking at right now is the final part of Rochelle that I have yet to complete. As you can see, all I have is the track, the ballast, and then a basic ground foam scenery, and then just buildings set here and there. In the next couple weeks, I'll be putting in roads and sidewalks and putting more buildings in, and just kind of finalizing all the details here in this final section of Rochelle. Rochelle is 24 feet long and 34 inches wide. And out of the 24 feet, I've completed 17 feet. So I have 7 more feet yet to do right here that you're looking at. We have 3 cars now. The 2 reefers are destined for the storage track at the Interchange Yard. The tank car still needs to go to BP Oil. I do have 2 oil storage tanks set on the layout. I don't think I'm going to actually have them there when I get to finishing this area. I just don't think that they have oil tanks that close to other buildings and facilities. They're kind of like out in the field somewhere. Usually the oil tanks have a berm around it so that in case there's a leak and the entire contents of the tank would leak, the berm would be able to hold all the contents of the tank. So it has to be, the berm has to be far enough away from the tank to give enough area to contain all the oil in the tanks, and just not enough room right there to do it justice. And plus it's just too close to all the other buildings. So we are going to have an oil loading and unloading facility, but I'm just going to have that when the actual tanks and so forth are going to be off the layout. And then we'll put some kind of industrial buildings or residential buildings where the tanks are right now. At least that's the plan right now. A couple of cars that will need to be picked up by the eastbound train is the 2 cement cars. So we picked that up from Rochelle Cement. And the last thing we need to do at this end of Rochelle is to drop off the tank car. And the BP tank car siding is on the other mainline track of the BNSF, so we have to take the crossover. The BNSF line is not a true double track line. One of the tracks is the main line and the other is a siding. Right now, offhand, I don't remember which is which. but we had to do the crossover to get to the other track, and now we're ready to go ahead and uncouple the tank car and set it in the BP loading and unloading facility. Alright, we're going to go ahead and set it in the siding here at the BP oil facility. As you can see, I need some work to be done here. I have a couple of train cat brass etchings for the loading and unloading platforms. I'm looking forward to getting this all scenic a little bit and having the platforms there for the oil facility. So we've distributed the two cars at the Total Logistics Control and BP Oil. And now we'll go ahead and take the reefers and the cement cars back to the interchange track and then do some switching there so that the cars will be ready to go to be picked up by the eastbound Union Pacific train. You can see in the background, by the way, the bridge over the Mississippi River. There's an aisleway between those little industry buildings and the bridge over the Mississippi. A lot of times people ask me for track plans or a track plan for the layout, and there is one available on my blog, which is genevasub.blogspot.com. So you may want to check that out. Look at the track plan as you watch this. So we're going to go ahead and head back to the BNSF Union Pacific Interchange Yard. That's the Rochelle Railroad Park you're looking at right there. If you haven't had a chance to visit that, I definitely would highly recommend it. If you're ever in the Midwest in northern Illinois, definitely make plans to visit the railroad park. It's a very heavily trafficked area. I guarantee you'll see some trains. Speaking of trains, here a double stack is going through as we head to the Interchange Yard. It's quite a grade going from the main line down to the yard. It's kind of in a bowl, and I did it that way because that's the way it is on the prototype. If you get a chance to visit the railroad park, I definitely recommend you try and get over towards the Interchange Yard and check it out. All right, you'll be able to see an example of doing a runaround. So we uncoupled from the two reefers and the two cement cars. Have to be careful here. There is room for the locomotive to clear the turnout without hitting the train going through, but for safety's sake, we'll go ahead and wait a little bit until the train goes through. And then we'll clear the turnout and be able to head to the other end. In addition to the two cement cars, which are going to be picked up by the eastbound train, there's also two box cars that are going to be picked up, and the 2 box cars that need to be picked up are in the storage track of the Interchange Yard. You can see them there next to the tank car. Looks like we have another stack train going through. Operating is definitely a lot more fun when things are scenic. The more realistic it looks, the more fun it is. At least that's my experience. Alright, the 2 reefer cars are not set to go out on a train just yet. So we'll go ahead and set them on the storage track. It is a little bit of a challenge controlling the locomotive on the steep grades here. You have to kind of adjust the speed as you go from level to incline. Alright, so the 2 reefers will go into the storage track, but before we set them there, we do need to get those 2 box cars. So we're going to go ahead and collect those up and put them into the departure track. So the cars we need to be setting on the departure track are the 2 box cars there, the TPW and the Western Pacific, and then the 2 cement cars. So we'll go ahead and set the 2 box cars there, and then we'll put the tank car and the 2 reefers back in the storage track, and then add the 2 cement cars to the box cars, and then they'll be ready to go. I always recommend that you follow me on Twitter and also on Instagram. I do record progress on the layout on Instagram. So as I work on the last 7 feet of Rochelle, I'll usually post on Instagram in the morning, giving an idea what I plan to tackle that day, and then post at least one more time, maybe more, throughout the day as I do the work. So if you want to follow the step by step, definitely recommend that you follow me on both Twitter and Instagram. My next video will be a eastbound manifest train that will actually pick up these cars, the 2 box cars and the 2 cement cars. They'll come out of Clinton, go across the Mississippi River, through Franklin Grove, past Global 3, and then we'll stop here at the interchange track. And I'll be doing a little bit different type of ops here than what I've done in the past. So I'll definitely recommend that you tune into that to see a different style of operation in dropping off and picking up cars here. Alright, so all the cars are pretty much where they need to be. Before we finish though, we do have a reefer in Del Monte, which has already been loaded and is ready to go. So we're going to get it out of the way of the workers at Del Monte and go ahead and put it in the storage track, and then it'll be ready to go on the set out tracks when the time comes for the train to pick it up along with some others. Right, once we set this car in the storage track, we'll be done. And we'll be able to conclude this video. Again, I recommend you stay tuned to this channel for the next operations video, which will be sometime next week. And it will be an eastbound manifest train that will be stopping here in Rochelle. And it will be picking up the 2 cement cars and the 2 box cars, and it will be dropping off some cars for the Rochelle area. So it should be interesting, a different type of operation. And then when it's done here, we'll continue on to Chicago. So stay tuned for that. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Always enjoy the greatest hobby in the world, model trains. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.